Welcome to another edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. While natural disasters such as hurricanes are sometimes unavoidable, there is much we can do to minimize the level of impact on our homes and communities. So between the pages today, we put the spotlight on disaster risk management. That and more coming up in the show, so stay with us.
Whenever you hear the following tone, the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, will be giving information on an emergency situation affecting the island. Please be on the alert and listen to your radio and television for further information. This was a test of the Emergency Alert System, brought to you by ODPEM.
Good day, I'm Lorraine Mendez, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, October 13. Jamaica Promotions Corporation, JAMPRO's Export Max 3 program is projected to result in a 50% increase in export sales over the three-year period of 2019 to 2021. JAMPRO's president, Dan Edwards, says this is benefiting 50 companies. According to Ms. Edwards, between April and June this year, Export Max 3 generated 177 new orders or contracts valued at over $50,000. She says in light of limited face-to-face meetings due to the COVID-19 pandemic, priority is being given to participation in virtual trade missions and connecting companies with new markets.
So there are 8 companies that are going to benefit this very month from the virtual trade show process, and they will pitch to 8 pre-qualified matched buyers.
Ms. Edwards was speaking at a virtual JIS think tank on the outcome of the program. She said the objective of the Export Max program was to improve the competitiveness of Jamaican exporters and small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs. It should also increase their export earnings and diversify the country's export products.
If we could use this program and really expand it, we should be really doing this for all SMEs in Jamaica, and then we would really see an explosion of the export sector and of the SME sector. So we're very excited about it.
According to Ms. Edwards, under Export Max 2, the 20 participating companies were able to achieve growth of 213.4% in exports, which doubled their export sales. In addition, 173 new jobs were created, 5 companies secured export contracts, and $173 million was generated from new investments. JAMPRO has since gained the partnership of the Jamaica Business Development Corporation and Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association for the third phase. With the increase in online transactions brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, persons are being urged to report cybercrime to the police. The Jamaica Cybersecurity Incident Response Team, JA CERT, made the call at a recent JIS think tank. Head of the team, Lieutenant Colonel Godfrey Sterling, pointed out that the number of cybercrime victims globally had increased significantly since the early days of the pandemic. But he said the government remained committed to building a digital society while ensuring cybersecurity for citizens and the country at large.
Despite the vagaries of the current pandemic, we, the practitioners in cybersecurity, must endeavor to ensure that we secure the experience of Jamaicans and Jamaica's sovereign interests in cyberspace. We must be able to monitor the threat landscape and provide the requisite early warning.
JA CERT will increase its cybersecurity awareness activities this month with the hosting of 3 virtual forums on October 15, 22, and 28. The webinars will focus on highlighting cyber risks and threats that may affect users and organizations and providing tips and measures for staying safe online. Interested persons can register for the events at surveymonkey.com/R/M5YW8V5.
In going digital, the pillars of access and communication, e-powered commerce and learning, an enhanced security and health and wellness framework must be underpinned by modern, harmonious laws that facilitates innovation and research and development.
Jamaica Tourist Board's Rediscover Jamaica campaign is being hailed as a major contributor in boosting hotel bookings. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says the campaign is a success, with some hotels reporting up to 60% occupancy from local bookings amidst COVID-19. Rediscover Jamaica was launched in early summer just as the country reopened its borders to visitors in an attempt to increase local stay as the tourism industry rebounds from the impact of the pandemic.
This initiative will continue to reduce the impact caused by the fallout from a decline in international tourism receipts and ensure continued buoyancy of the sector until some semblance of normalcy returns.
Mr. Bartlett gave the update at the recent reopening of the 49-suite Zotri Hotel in St. James. The hotel was closed for 7 months due to the onslaught of the novel coronavirus. The minister pointed out that Jamaica was enjoying the highest booking rate in the region, with more bookings being made directly rather than through travel agents. The Ministry of Education says independent schools that have reopened with face-to-face teaching, having received certification letters from the Ministry of Health, are not in violation of the remote learning guidelines. The Education Ministry says consultations were held with representatives of independent schools early this month, where members shared their challenges and the uniqueness of their operations. Pointing out that independent schools cater to children with special needs, the ministry says these students are not well served with online or remote learning. Therefore, measures have to be found to ensure the needs of all children are met as best as possible. Still, the Education Ministry says dialogue will continue with the Ministry of Health and diverse groups of schools to assess their unique situations and ensure they are complying with the protocols under the Disaster Risk Management Act. And finally, the Island Traffic Authority ITA is advising persons with appointments at the Spanish Town Road Depot to use the Harborview Depot on St. Thomas Boulevard. This is due to the temporary closure of the depot for deep cleaning and sanitization. The ITA says the Spanish Town Road Depot will remain closed until October 15 to ensure the safety of staff and the public. It further states that persons requiring general services of the ITA may visit any other depot. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Lorraine Mendez. Thanks for watching. You've asked for it, and now it's here. The Jamaica Information Service has updated its mobile app. It's easier to navigate, loads even faster than before, talking about top speed, operates seamlessly across platforms, and we're a creative bunch, so it's much easier on the eyes. Now you have quick and easy access to new stories, television and radio features, and a variety of photos right at your fingertips. And you'll get push notifications when new content is uploaded. Download the app on your Apple and Android devices now and get news you can use. Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica on the go.
It's National Heritage Week, so we are celebrating those unique qualities that make us stand out against the world. The rich history of setting aside Spanish and British colonization, sustaining cultural elements from the island's indigenous people and its African descendants have created an infectious mix that beckons many. Next, we explore the beats of Jamaican dance.
Similar to the country's motto, "Out of many, one people," Jamaica's indigenous dance movement is a rich mix of African, European, Spanish, and several other ethnic influences. a shoulder movement from the British, hip roll from the Africans, and so on. All gyrations and synchronized rhythmic stepping, locals have merged to birth new dance styles.
Indigenous means that it was created here. It's native to the space. I call some things indigenous formalized. They're indigenous, and all these indigenous things, like, for example, gere, they say it's a creolized form. Now, when you say creolized form, that means some of it was shaped here, so then it becomes indigenous. So there are quite a few others.
Brookings reveals a unique mixture of African and European influences. The Brookings Party is a stately, dipping, gliding dance typified by the thrust and recovery action of the hip and leg.
So, for example, Brookings, you cannot go back to Africa and find Brookings. Remember, Brookings was a celebration for the abolition of slavery in this country called Jamaica. And there's a long story behind that. So that position happens in Brookings. All right, get up. But she not do it all the way. When them do it, it's all down on the ground and the back and back.
This band of masqueraders scare a few, especially children. Some persons are definitely not in favor of one of the characters, the devil. John Kunu goes as far back as slavery, but at that time, the bands were very large and elaborate. The musicians would play tunes of well-known traditional songs on the fife, accompanied by bass and rattling drums, shakas and graters. Their primary dance movement is to prance, behaving wildly as they try to evoke fun or mockery.
The foundation sound. Ska music is a great, great sound. Jamaica's first international.
What you see down across is arms that come out of Jankuno, come out of our ancient forms as well. And so you see those arms in Ska. Those same arms. What it come from? It have to come anybody from sky. It come from our ancestral memories, our heritage, and it bleed beautifully into modern day times, into what we call popular dance.
Dancehall in the 1960s, a popular dance then was the ska. Oh yes, skanking was the movement partygoers would do to the rhythm of the similar name, ska punk or hardcore punk.
Jamaica's first international.
When people say they're dancing bingy, also indigenous. Any movement that you see people do in Rastafari, because Rastafari, and it's not only dance.
That's right. Rastafarianism is a religion and it has its own dance.
Although African Kumina has been here for so long, it is a tradition in the space. Kumina was not created here. It is Kikongo. In the language they speak, free Africans and enslaved Africans, the more they came, brought that tradition, that religious tradition, to the space. But over time, because that is from 18 something, it becomes traditional to the space because it's constantly here. Dancehall is indigenous. Everything in dancehall is indigenous. And so everybody should be saying, anybody who dances dancehall should mention Jamaica. Because Jamaica is who created that cultural space that has in it dance. Dancehall goes right back to Africa. And if you go online now and you look at Africans doing dancehall, there's a slightly different flavor to it. but there's a use of bottom, there's a use of, the use is similar. So some things, you know, are what Kamau Brathwaite, the writer from Barbados, says tide electric, in that the tides of the ocean bring it come, and sometimes the tides of the ocean carry it back. So if you look at dancehall, you know, the ocean bring all of this African, and then sometimes you see it carry back, and dancehall is in Africa now as African dancehall. In dance, it's a forward movement when we decide to be Caribbean-centric. So now we're not necessarily Afrocentric or Eurocentric. We have now created a space of our voice. We are Caribbean-centric in the movements that we create. From the time of ska that you mentioned, all the way up now to dancehall.
In celebrating a heritage of resilience and pride, we now highlight the work and life of national hero Paul Bogle.
Born in Stony Gut, St. Thomas in the 1820s, he suffered as a slave. He toiled in the hot sun, working and praying for the day he could say, "Yes, freedom come." And when that day came, the day he was free, the plan of becoming fully independent was his next feat. One he accomplished, small farmer, then landowner, to being one of 106 persons on the voters list, he was well on his way. So much so, he became a Baptist deacon in the village, a true Jamaican activist, angered by the injustices and oppression faced by the people in St. Thomas by one Governor Edward Eyre. So, he gathered his people and marched onward they did, left, right, on October 11, 1865, the day of the Morant Bay Rebellion. Over 500 people died, but not in vain. That special day spurred changes in the social and economic conditions of people not only in St. Thomas, but the entire Jamaica. The Right Excellent Paul Bogle, the man who lived and died for his people on October 24, 1865. A man of honor, a man of truth, our national hero.
As we observe International Day for Disaster Risk Reduction, we highlight the work of the Jamaica Fire Brigade. Specifically, we're looking at how the brigade is teaching children how to respond to disasters, such as fires and earthquakes. Take a look.
Move to the right in threes. Right turn. Move to the left in threes. Squad will retire. Left turn. About time.
This is not training for the Cadet Corps. There is a new co-curricular club in schools, the Fire Wardens Club. The Jamaica Fire Brigade has embarked on a new initiative. It involves children and is being implemented in schools across the country. The initiative is similar to that of many other school-based co-curricular programs. The only difference? This club reinforces the importance of disaster preparedness, management and restoration. The main aim is to reduce the country's susceptibility to significant damage from natural and man-made disasters.
Ready? Down. Up.
What to do if your clothes are on fire?
The program is now being implemented in schools across the country since its inception at institutions in St. Catherine in 2017.
Welcome to Great and Concord Primary School Fire Wardens Club.
What do you feel when you in an earthquake?
Shaking.
Shaking, yes.
Things falling.
Things falling, yes. And you are frightened too. When I showed you the video, did you see where the road split?
Yes.
And you saw cars going down into the between the. Yes.
We initially started with a quiz competition that went on to the primary schools. So we realized that we needed something a little more tangible where we can actually have the Fire Wardens Club in the schools. The motto of the club is
Preparing today for disasters tomorrow.
we are preparing these students so that whenever there's a disaster, they will be ready to help within the schools, home, and churches. So we would teach them to be ready when there's an earthquake, so they would know the procedure, they would know the drill. We prepare them to help their schoolmates if somebody got injured and need to be moved from one place to the other. If there's a fire, we also taught them about the bucket brigade. They can get some water. You might have known that there are times when children are trapped, children are also burnt in fires. Now, if these children were taught and have some idea of what to do, the possibility that they could have helped themselves.
Within the schools, a teacher is assigned to the club, and for that purpose is given the title of a superintendent.
Our students are very enthusiastic about the club, and they get involved in many different activities as it pertains to knowing and disseminating information about disasters and disaster mitigation. One of the best agents for information are children, and parents respond to children. So when the children know certain things about how to manage disasters, what are some of the right things to do, they can help to inform their parents, and in turn the parents will inform the community members to respond. And in a community like Portmore, where there are so many potential disasters waiting to happen, it is important that Greater Portmore and the schools in Greater Portmore know about Fire Wardens Club and become involved in it.
Fire Wardens Clubites are also engaged in humanitarian activities, visiting children's and nursing homes.
I just love how they do things. You have to do them proper, and if you don't do them proper, sometimes you get kicked out of the club.
The Fire Wardens Club is very fun, and I get to do drills like fire safety, earthquake, tsunamis, and fire drill because it helps us to blow out fires.
The Fire Warden Club teaches us to do a drill, teach us when what to do when your clothes is on fire. Stop, drop, cover your face and roll.
It's a great club to join, and I love it because of fun, and it's helping the community and schools to raise disaster awareness.
If someone's house is being flooded out, I can help them by doing take them out of the house and take out the good stuff like the birth papers and the passports.
Loss of life and property as a result of natural and man-made disasters should be minimized as the Fire Wardens Club expands and more children get involved. Practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently using soap and water. Here's how you should do it while conserving water. Turn on the tap to wet your hands, then turn off the pipe. Lather your hands and the tap with soap. Turn on the tap and wash your hands, back, front, and in between fingers. Use some of the water to wash off the tap, then turn it off. Dry your hands with disposable hand towels. If you don't have running water, use a hand rub containing 62% or more alcohol. If hand sanitizers are not available, rubbing alcohol, Dettol, white rum, or household bleach will do the trick. And if all else fails,
Let hand washing and the handling of potable water be a two-person event. Each person will take turns pouring and washing hands with sitting water. Now is a good time to consider installing a tap on your containers to reduce the risk of water contamination. Faucets can be easily attached to drums, buckets, or 5-gallon water bottles. And to ensure that the outside of the containers are clean when recapping, disinfect it with hand rub containing alcohol that's 62% or more. The 5 R's of water conservation are also necessary to practice. Reduce water wastage by investing in water-saving devices. Reuse water at least twice before discarding. Replace leaking pipes, faucets, and other plumbing equipment. Recycle wastewater and use it for gardening, car washing, or cleaning of public spaces. And reclaim water through rainwater harvesting. We all must play our part to ensure there's water to combat the coronavirus and stave off prolonged drought.
You've reached the final page of the magazine. Thanks so much for being with us on today's journey. Another show unfolds tomorrow, so come back same time on the same station. Until then, click on our social media pages. We can be found on major sites such as YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and of course, there's a JIS app. While there, please subscribe to our pages and channels. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you can stay in the know. On behalf of all of us here at the GIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson, encouraging you to stay safe.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.